The first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a military base. If Japan does not surrender, bombs will have to be dropped on her war industries, and unfortunately, thousands of civilian lives will be lost.
8, 7.
It took the bomb 43 seconds from the time we dropped it at 30,000 feet until the time it exploded at 18,000 feet. The first thing you saw was that large white cloud that was up well above our altitude. If you look down to the city of Hiroshima, it just looked like a pot of boiling oil covering the city.
6, 5.
To say it was frightening is an understatement. I think it shocked us all into silence. When the flash hit you, you could see the x-rays of your hands through your closed eyes.
4, 3.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Bomb atomically.
Welcome to the Bomb Atomically Podcast, the only podcast where Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define how we be dropping these mockeries. I'm Big Tones. I'm here with JMac and Joey Columbo. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? What it be like?
Yeah, it's been had a nice little break. We're back at it. Real quick before we get into things, over the last 2 weeks or so, we've got our socials up and running for the most part. In the link to the podcast, we're going to have the link to our link tree. So in there, you have everything: Instagram, Twitter, our YouTube page, and we actually started up a blog. So we got some real cool posts on there. You guys have been posting. I haven't had a chance to get around yet, but some interesting stuff on there.
And make sure to check out our OnlyFans page where you'll find JMac string and coconut bikinis and Wu-Tang Clan face paint.
There you go. I guess I got some feet pics on there too, for all those people out there. And one last shout out before we get into things. My brother actually helped us make the intro, the beat behind the intro. So he does all that kind of stuff. I told him to give me his socials to shout out, but he never got back to me on that, so that's on him. So
he likes to be mysterious.
Yeah, he's like MF Doom,
white MF Doom.
Yeah,
DJ Mysterious,
DJ Skit Scat. So this episode we going to be talking about the Mandela Effect. I don't know if you guys follow our Instagram and our socials. We mentioned that. It's a movie on Amazon Prime. It's pretty good. We'll get into that. And then also there's obviously the Mandela Effect, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. We're going to get into that too. But before we get into that, next week, just kind of preview, let you know what we're going to be getting into. We're going to change it up a little bit. We did some TV shows last time, doing a movie this time. Next time we're going to get into some music. So we're going to do our top 5 songs in movies. Now, we didn't really kind of talk too much about this. Are we talking about like songs originally made for movies or just the use of songs in movies?
I think any song you hear that makes you think of a specific movie or a scene or something like that.
Okay.
Any song
like
that was
example, right? Goodfellas. What am I talking about?
The restaurant scene, right? When they're going through the restaurant. Is that what you're talking about?
Layla, of course.
Okay, I don't know names like that, but
well, you're fucking 6. So.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna get to that. That should be interesting. At first, you mentioned it, and I was kind of so on it. But the more I sat there and I thought about like some of my favorite movies and the songs in them, I was like, all right, this could be pretty good. So I'm excited for that.
The lists are gonna be growing. I mean, we said like 5 as an example, but I could think of a couple movies that have multiple songs in it that. So we'll get on, shoot the shit, see where it goes.
Yeah. Like I'm for myself,
all out shit show, I'm sure.
Yeah. As always. I'm going to limit myself to one Tarantino movie because I know he does a real good job of mixing his music in there. So I'm going to keep it to one, just to keep the list concise. But yeah, so I guess we'll hop into the Mandela Effect. So real quick, I just have a little definition here, and we got some new technology for you guys watching on YouTube, right? Got the little image up on the screen. So I got a definition of the Mandela Effect. I'll just read this real quick. Mandela Effect refers to a situation in which a large mass of people believes that an event occurred when it did not. Looking at the origin of the Mandela Effect, some famous examples as well as potential explanations for the strange confluence of perceptions can help shed light on the unique phenomenon. The term Mandela Effect was first coined in 2009 by Fiona Broom when she created a website to detail her observance of the phenomenon. Broom was at a conference talking with other people about she remembered the tragedy of former South African President Nelson Mandela's death in a South African prison camp in the 80s. However, Nelson Mandela did not die in the 80s in prison. He passed away in 2013. So that's the gist of it. Basically, you know, there's large groups of people that remember something vividly, but apparently it never happened. So we can get into the movie. Did you guys have any first thoughts? What did you think of it?
So, as far as the movie goes, you know, I think we have two different things here on the table, right? We have an actual film, like we would normally break down, and then we have the actual theory here, the Mandela Effect, right? Mm-hmm. And, I mean, as soon as this movie started, I was sucked in. You know, I was really into this, but I don't know, maybe about halfway through, I totally just ripcord got pulled. I was just checked out, man. I totally got bogged down in too much science terms and trying to make sense of shit where, I don't know, it kind of took me away from the characters and what they were going through, you know, where that should be an experience, you know, like I didn't care anymore, you know, whether this guy found his kid, didn't find his kid, whether the woman had to break down his wife. I didn't care for the characters, you know, so there was a major disconnect, you know, getting into it with, the theory, which is an interesting concept. You know, they started unraveling it, right? It started with the Bernstein Bears, you know, and that's one of the classic images that I'm sure we'll bring up in a bit. But again, you know, it starts to get a little convoluted when you meet the professor and we're trying to like make sense of things and the plot, and it just feels like it stumbles in the end trying to make sense of things again, where what is the purpose of telling the story? To try to make sense of the Mandela Effect, to us to feel what these characters are going through, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but I think, you know, again, because in the beginning the film opens up with, you know, it's about a family, right? A man who becomes obsessed with trying to, you know, figure out the Mandela Effect to save his daughter, who unfortunately passed away. So that's the opening scene, which you're like, holy shit, that's a major gut punch, right? Yeah,
right off the bat.
You know? So again, getting into the movie, sucked in, I'm there. But again, it gets let go, you know? For me, halfway through, when, you know, his wife, right? So I guess, who do we have? Brendan and Claire. That's our main characters.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I think the name. I didn't even. Let's see.
Right. Yeah, it's like, I don't even know their names, so I must really not give a shit about them. Yeah. Except for Dr. Futch. I remember him real good.
Yeah, that's what's his name from The Wire. I can't remember his name. I think so. Yeah, he's the guy that does little model furniture. And he
got his name on The Wire.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, what do you got, JMac? What did you think?
I'd say I've seen this movie randomly. I popped it on Prime, probably when it first got put up there. So maybe 2020, like last year sometime, or early last year during lockdown. I don't know. I was just came up and I thought it was going to be a documentary. And then when it started, I was like, oh, this is like a drama about, and then I was like, well, this is like, you know, a movie that I've never heard of that probably went straight to streaming and shit. Like, this is going to suck. And I maybe just off the bat expecting it to suck, I was pleasantly surprised by it because I've been interested in the topic. And I like the take of why this is, like, their theory in the movie as to why this is happening. It was I've heard some other stuff before, and this was the first take from from that angle on it. So I appreciated it for that. But I could understand a little bit what Joey's talking about, how it does start off with that gut punch. Like, you go through it, and it's in a short amount of time. In the first, 10 minutes of the movie, this dude loses his daughter. You see the breakdown. You see him, grasping at straws to try to make sense of everything. And then, like most people are familiar with nowadays, going down a rabbit hole on YouTube, because I went down a rabbit hole just for this episode. Like, I already was familiar with some of this stuff, but I watched the movie. I went and checked out whatever crap I could, videos, some podcast stuff, whatever it was. And bro, 2 days ago, I'm at work and I'm like, I don't even know what's real anymore. I was like, none of this makes sense. It's wild stuff. So
yeah. So I know JMac, you knew about Mandela Effect beforehand, but did you, Joey? Did you know, the just general idea of the theory?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, because going into this, like JMac said, I didn't have super high expectations because I just looked at the ratings and I was just like, all right, it probably is what it is. But I did like how they weave the theory into it. But I agree with you that about halfway through, it just kind of got, I don't know. For me, I agree. It did kind of lose its luster about halfway through. Today, I actually tried putting it back on just to give it a quick, jog my mind, jog my memory or whatever. And I was just got about 3/4 through, and I was like, okay, I know what happens. I don't need to keep watching this. But it was better than I thought. And yeah, I don't know. I guess we could kind of get into the nitty gritty here a little bit. You just want to hop into spoilers, or?
Well, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to totally trash the movie, because I don't think it's a horrible movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a bad movie. I just don't think it's a movie that me personally get fully invested in. When, again, the beginning, you have this very relatable opening, right? Gut punch. You know what I mean? We've all, unfortunately, have seen, if not dealt with this firsthand, 1 degree of separation, that kind of thing, right? The loss of a child is a fucking horrible thing, right? So you could understand, if you have some kind of soul, man, that's so, empathy, sympathy, understanding, all this kind of stuff is there with these characters. But then it almost becomes all right, guy, I know you're trying to find your daughter, but come on, man. You know what I mean? What are we are we trying to go talk about theoretical physics? Are we talking about conspiracy theories? Are we talking about, what are we talking? How you coding? What? You know what I mean? It's too much being slammed in the viewer's face. And again, I think that makes a disconnect, right? Because by I guess I don't want to go into spoilers for people who haven't seen it yet, but really, I think the people are here for the talk of the theory. But by the end, right, his wife is in shambles, and it's just I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that point, I don't care anymore.
I think the choice to make the wife, flip a lid, took away from his initial descent into madness. It's we're doing this again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We could. I think if they left that piece out, that would have flowed a little better instead of dropping this new issue into the middle of the movie.
Yeah, because for him, it took him about 45 minutes to fully go down the rabbit hole. To fully kind of have his, I guess, mental break or whatever you want to call it. But then her, it was the last 10 minutes, all of a sudden, she just lost her mind, out of nowhere. Yeah. And you're just okay. Now, and I'm not saying this movie should have been longer, but it was a pretty short movie. It was an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15. So, maybe if they had an extra, 15 minutes in there of her, slowly descending more, maybe then it would have made more sense. And maybe they could have explained some of the theories better, because, like you were saying, with all the science talking, it went from parallel universes all the way to a whole different theory that I actually had never even heard of. So that kind of fascinated me a little bit, but it did seem to move very quick through that. I
think the theory that they went with, I think, was the most intriguing thing of it to me the first time around watching it. I think that gave the movie more points in my head, because I never thought of it from that angle, you know?
Right. So it seems like the movie, you know, again, it's trying to accomplish different things at the same time, and as a final product, as a whole, for me personally, it doesn't become a successful, amazing film, but it does take two interesting concepts. Again, the sense of dread, this experience that this man is going through, the loss of a child, while again trying to explain the Mandela Effect. So when you get into the movie, you know, the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you're invested. Then halfway through something happens, at least for me, something clicks, something changes, and it goes from this atmospheric, psychological, existential film about loss to trying to put all these different things together, you know, mind playing tricks, you know, all these different psychological and metaphysical and all these crazy different hype, you know, theories, possibilities, and then again we start talking about coding and video games, and it just gets so, you know, crazy.
Yeah.
And like Anthony says, this is all in a matter of 79 minutes, you know. That's with credits, opening and closing.
Yeah, it's a lot to throw at the viewer. And yeah, there was just a lot of stuff in there, like you're saying, like the whole coding thing. Like I get that's how he ended up, you know, how it kind of resolved itself. But like there was that whole sequence at the beginning about the rat in the maze and all that, and I was just like, I thought they were going to do more than that. And they showed the rat a couple other times throughout the movie, but it never really came to, you know, fruition, whatever the word is.
You know, this is what I got from the rat. I'm like, are they trying to say that he is the rat running around in a psychological maze? I mean, like, what the hell was the point of that?
Maybe we're all the rat.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Well, actually, you know, I don't know. You guys good with throwing up, like, just throw it up. Look, if you're unfamiliar with the Mandela Effect, the movie's probably at least worth checking out if you're interested in the topic. It takes a pretty cool, you know, angle on the way things are. With that said, now we're going to talk about what happened in the movie. So if you want to pause it, go check it out on Prime, come back. Otherwise, you know, we're just going to talk freely now. See, that was the thing about the rat in the maze. What I was trying to understand, or the way I took it, was they were saying if the rat does the maze enough, it's almost like it learns it. If the other rats do it, they learn it, where all of them start going quicker. I thought they were trying to do with like some sort of parallel universe thing where our consciousnesses are all somehow intertwined with us in parallel universes. So we're having shared memories.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I could see that. And also, while you were talking, I kind of came up with a little theory of my own, because they were saying the rat goes through the maze, you know, it kind of memorizes everything, it learns where everything is. So if we're the rats going through the maze and you change something, you know, whether it's the Bernstein Bears or the Berenstain Bears or whatever, you might notice that because you have everything kind of memorized.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. I mean, I think we're going to get into some interesting conversation, but again, that's what the movie opens the door to here, right? Because again, like, you know, we could talk about the actual, you know, like acting, right? I think the acting was fine. You know, everybody did a good job. You know what I mean? The score was all right. It was cool. I didn't think it was anything special. You know, nothing did stand out. You know what I mean? There's plot holes. Maybe not. I'm sure you can pick it apart, right? There's definitely some plot devices. You know, as far as the film goes, it's well made. I mean, the effects not too bad for a small independent film, right? I think that, you know, David Guy Levy, who wrote and directed the film, I mean, the guy knows how to put together a film. You know, I mean, again, it's not bad. It's just, for me personally, I got very invested, and then, like, again, I came in with low expectations. You know, that's a great way to go, because you don't expect. So again, when it started off, I was like, yeah, all right, you know. And again, I'll repeat myself for the 90th time. Halfway through, it kind of started checking out. And by the end, where you know, his wife is getting digitized and stuff. I'm just sitting there like scoffing, like, oh, come on.
Yeah, the whole like ending sequence was like a little over the top. Just the whole like when everything's kind of coming crashing down. Thought that was a little much, but I did like how you know, from the start of the movie they start showing some things like you know, he's reading his daughter the Berenstain Bears book. And I'm going to put the picture up now so you guys at home can see. So this is one of the things, the Mandela Effect. So me personally, I was the same with this, where I always thought it was Berenstain Bears, right? I thought they were Jewish. But it turns out it's actually the Berenstain Bears, right? And apparently that, you know, it's always been that. I don't know. So that's one of the things. And then, like, you know, she has a Curious George doll. And in one of the scenes, she's walking with the doll, holding it by the tail. Let me see. I got the picture here. Okay. So, you know, he's like, oh, I always thought Curious George had a tail. But as you can see from the left and right pictures here, he apparently never had a tail. And the same thing with the Looney Tunes. She's always watching Looney Tunes. People always kind of assume it's Toons, but it's actually Tunes, Tunes. So, and he starts noticing that stuff, and then, you know, once he realizes things are different, he starts looking into these things, and he Googles Berenstain Bears, and he finds the Mandela Effect, and he goes down the rabbit hole. And I do think that part of the movie is very interesting, because the idea of going down the rabbit hole in this day and age applies to everybody for almost every topic. You know, right. I go down a rabbit hole a week at this point.
And this movie came out in what, 2019?
2019.
Right?
Yeah,
2019. So at that point, we already know about the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 At that point, Flat Earth is a thing. QAnon's no, QAnon I don't think was around yet, but I mean, there's all kinds of rabbit holes you can go down.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like, we were talking the other day, and you're like, man, it's like we got to be careful, you know, because it's like conspiracy theories are looked at like, oh man, they're not cool anymore.
Bro, I've been saying that for like the last year or so. QAnon ruined conspiracy theories, because now if you like mention that, like, you know, you like conspiracy theories, people just think you're nuts or an idiot. You know, it's like like we were talking about this the other day. They thought JFK Jr. was coming back from the dead. Like once you get to like that level of conspiracy theories, then like it kind of discredits all the other ones.
Yeah,
you know,
or like you know, the unfortunate events at the Astro Festival. Travis Scott, you know, they're trying to say that he was trying to, you sold his soul to the devil, and it's an upside down cross, the flames, and it's a gateway to hell, and
it's
all
like
sorts
human
of
sacrifice or something.
How quickly the whole thing came, because I really, honestly, I couldn't pick that kid out of a lineup. I know he's attached to the Kardashians somehow. I couldn't name a song of his, but I saw the next day, literally, like that shit happened. The next day, I opened my phone, and they're trying to get me to read all these articles about how it was his blood sacrifice to the Illuminati. Yeah. And that's why one of the Kardashian girls continued filming his concert during it to like document him actually finally joining them in the Illuminati. Like, I hate to laugh about it because people got fucked up. But when people go to that level with it, you're like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, how do you connect those dots? I mean, especially like a day after it happened, just sit there and just connect those dots that quick. I mean...
Yeah, and it wasn't like just a quick little paragraph. Like, some dude wrote out like a fucking thesis on this shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish I should have saved the link. I could have shared it with y'all. I didn't think of it.
Also, like, you know, I got a lot of students that are like, you know, devout Christians and Catholics and stuff, and they're like gung-ho that this guy is the devil, and I'm like, guys, like, what about like Hitler and every other bad motherfucker in the past? Like, that was way worse than Travis Scott. Like, come on.
Yeah. You know? No, they were saying Elvis was the devil and the Beatles were the devil. Like,
yes.
Like, what are we talking about here? I mean, like, whatever is new that people don't like, it's the devil. It's evil. You know, it happens with every generation.
Yeah.
If anything, the fucking cell phones that are glued to our palms are the devil. You know, shit.
Well, to relate all this, you know, Christianity talk and stuff back to the Mandela Effect, there is a community of people online who do think that it is the work of the devil to do these things to keep us, you know, doubting reality and shit like that. And that apparently it's even, I believe it was in the book of Revelations, there's something about the words changing on pages or something, which people are trying to say, you know, the end times are coming because all these weird things are happening.
See, I've come across, you know, these two different, you know, conspiracy phenomena. One stemming from Y2K, that when 1999 came around, people were convinced the world would end. So, you know, we know that didn't happen, obviously, right? And then, you know, the same thing came around in 2012 when the people were convinced the Mayan calendar meant the world was going to come to an end. Well, that didn't happen. But so they said during those two periods of time, the world went into a parallel universe or a different dimension where all these small changes are the result, you know, of the dimensions crossing, and it's proof that we're in different areas of time. I'm going to go with Occam's razor here, guys, when it comes to the Mandela Effect.
I've heard of Occam's razor, but I couldn't tell you what it is. So
Occam's razor is the long and the short of Occam's razor is that basically, like, the most likely scenario is the scenario. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I you know, and it is kind of cool to look at a lot of these theories and be like, oh, wow, I wonder what it means. But at the end of the day, like, human memory isn't perfect. You know, we're not computers. We don't just store it as it is. Like, how many times you like run into someone that you haven't seen in a few years and you start, you know, regaling like past stories like, oh, you know, remember when this happened? Remember when so-and-so did this? And like they tell the story different than you remember it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
it's telephone, but in real life.
Exactly. Right? It happens all the time. And I don't want to like...
I think that, what do they call it? False memories?
Yeah, false memories is... Yeah. And look, I don't want to blow up the whole theory like right now, but like with the whole Mandela thing, I would put money on the fact that like there might have been like a false news report in the 80s saying he died, and then like everyone remembered that, and then like the next day they might have retracted, like, oh, actually we were wrong, but like people just don't forget that. Or don't remember that, I should say. That's...
Well, the thing that there's a strange thing, because apparently in South Africa, they do have a physical book, a textbook from a school district in South Africa that was printed in 1990. And in that history book, it says that Mandela died in 88. So they do have one physical thing where it's written. Now, with the lady who came up with the whole name for the Mandela Effect have read a school district in South Africa's history book, most likely not. You know,
right.
But yeah, I think there's there's I don't know, man. Like some of the ones where it's just like the spelling of things being different, I just chalk that up to people never really paying all that close attention.
Yeah, like I actually have a couple examples of those. I'm just going to pull them up real quick, like Fruit Loops, right? People, I guess, think that it's spelled like fruit how it normally is when it's actually FROOT because they have the actual loop, like the Fruit Loops in there. So like that's an easy one to mix up because it's like, you know how to spell fruit, right? Sure. So someone says Fruit Loops, you imagine the word fruit. Or another one, Kit Kat. People think that there's a dash between the kit and the cat. Now, I got the picture up now, and if you look at the way the T is, the line coming out looks like it could be kind of a dash. So if you just look at that quick, you might think that's that. Or like, last one I'm going to show, but double stuffed Oreo. There's only one F in stuff. So it's like, you know, double stuffed. You know the word stuff. You know how it's spelt. Like, that's not that crazy of a thing to be like, oh my God, we're in a parallel universe and they changed double stuffed Oreos.
Yeah. But before we stray too far away from our movie talk, we should probably say that in the movie, the theory is that we're living in a simulation.
Right.
And the simulation is glitching out. Or every time there's an update, they miss something, so this stuff starts leaking into, you know, our reality.
Yeah. Right. Hence the glitches that we get, right? It's almost like the Matrix. You know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because, you know, a little while ago, Joey had a technical issue, and it's like, is the simulation trying to get us to stop talking about the Mandela Effect?
Oh, shit.
We're too close to the truth.
Oh, shit.
Too close to exposing
You shouldn't have edited that out of the episode. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but
I think it just chalks up to, like, you know, again, the flaws in the human brain. I mean, think about, like, you know, psychedelics, and think about near-death experiences and all the power of the brain, you know. And I think this is just simply like, you know, we like grandiose and enigmatic things, you know. So let's, you know, call this the Mandela Effect, but really it's just like, dude, all our minds work when, like Ant says, you see Fruit Loops, you're gonna just think fruit, not fruit like toot fruit. You know, you don't think that this unusual information may, you know, it's like our brains just automatically mentally correct it, you know. Similarly, like with Mandela, like, think about it, it makes perfect sense that Nelson Mandela to have died in prison. I mean, he faced some freaking cruel and horrible, neglectful treatment at that time. So, like, sure, same thing, like Bernstein. Like, Bernstein is a much more common surname than Bearstein. Yeah. So automatically your brain's going to connect it to Bearstein, you know?
And you know what? I think people underestimate, like, just the amount of errors that people make on a daily basis. Like, for example, with the Curious George with the tail, right? There could have been a couple of books that, you know, maybe misprinted and had a tail in there, or maybe some Curious George doll was made in China and they added a tail to it when they weren't supposed to. Right. You know, stuff like that. You know, or I forgot to mention this one before, the Monopoly Man with the monocle. Everyone thinks he has a monocle. Like, for all we know,
that's the one that's like over the top.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Okay, hold the phone here.
But for all we know, like, there could have been, like, maybe he used to have a monocle, like in the old Monopoly games or something. You know, and then,
but, like, he didn't.
He didn't.
I went down that road.
Did you?
There's never, you know, there's no. There's been some stuff that's come up recently. You know, a lot of the new ones actually revolve around Pokemon, which I wasn't familiar with Pokemon in the first place. So
I saw a couple of those, yeah.
Pikachu's tail, right?
Yeah.
Pikachu's tail. Then there's, like, some of the other characters, the spelling of their names and shit. And like I said, bro, like, look, I'm slightly dyslexic. Like, now as an adult, when I handwrite things, I'll go back and try to reread it and be like, well, none of that makes fucking sense. Letters are flipped around, like, it's like, you know what I'm saying?
I've edited your articles. I can vouch for this.
Yes. Poor Joey has to decipher my hieroglyphics. Fucking, you know, so, like, excuse me. So, like, I could understand the spelling stuff, but there's other things that have happened, you know, especially like dialogue from movies that have become super famous, like, you know, there is no Luke, I am your father said in Star Wars at all.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard that shit fucked me. I was like, no, that's what he says. He says, Luke, I am your father. And sure enough, you go back to watch Empire Strikes Back, and that's not what he says. He says, no, I am your father.
Yeah. See, even with that one, though, like, he says Luke, like, I don't know, 10 seconds before that. And when he says, no, I'm your father, Luke, I am your father, like, it's, I don't know, it's kind of close enough where maybe you misremember it. You know?
Yeah.
And
well,
like,
apparently there was a toy made, like, one of the original, like, sets of Star Wars toys that were made. They did have a Darth Vader toy that spoke, and it said, Luke, I am your father.
So that's probably now, people had that and heard that and remembered that.
Is it? But the people who would, you know, of course, the people could bend it any way they want. The people who believe the Mandela Effect is some alternate universe thing, thinks the toy was made that way because that's what he says in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
To find out how he doesn't, you know?
I guess you could go with, yeah.
Wasn't there a movie where somebody says it into a fan? And, like, now, and, like, dude, we've all said it into a fan before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke,
even James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones was asked by, like, somebody, I forget, on a TV show or something, to do Darth Vader, and he said, Luke, I am your father. Like, you know, doing his little spiel or whatever. So it's like, all right, so he messed up, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of the stuff in the movies, like Field of Dreams. Did you guys see that one?
I didn't, but was
I've never actually seen
if you build it, they will come? Is that not what they say?
Well, that's what everybody thinks they say, is if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
But what is actually said in the movie is build it and he will come.
Okay.
Didn't they say that in the Simpsons episode? Wasn't there a Simpsons episode?
Probably.
There was some kind of adaptation of Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. It was what the fuck was it?
Simpsons does everything. They've also predicted the future.
Well, did you see? Apparently,
times.
people think that the Simpsons predicted the Travis Scott thing.
Oh God!
I just saw that today. They had some. Apparently, Travis Scott was in the Simpsons recently at a concert with like a fire and stuff, and so people are trying to say that was a prediction by the Simpsons.
Yeah,
but I mean, you know.
Now the one that got me was the Silence of the Lambs. Hello, Clarice. Never says it.
Yeah, that one screwed me up.
I forgot what he said.
Good morning.
Yeah,
he says good morning, Clarice.
Yeah. So I always, because I just pictured, Anthony Hopkins, hello, Clarice. That's just in my brain. So that one did kind of mess me up a little bit, but.
Well, I'll say this one I just learned about because a lot of these I've kind of known about from hearing about when I first heard about the Mandela Effect, going down that rabbit hole. But one I learned about just looking this up, and it's probably going to fuck with Joey if he hasn't already seen it, because I know he's seen this movie multiple fucking times. When they're getting chased by the Balrog and Gandalf is hanging off the side of the thing, what does he say to them?
Run, you fools.
No, he doesn't.
What does he say?
He says, fly, you fools.
Fly, you fools?
Yeah, bro.
No way.
Dude, when I saw that, when I was like, I've seen that movie so many times, there's no way he says the word fly. The line is run, you fools. There's no way that fly comes out of his mouth. But you go back and check
out of here.
This is why I was doubting reality for the last days.
Bro, I had a second guess myself, like, did he? I know he said you fools, and I was like, run, you fools? Like, fly, you fools.
See, but like run would make more sense to say than fly. So I could see how you would think it was run, because I thought it was run too. When I saw that, it kind of blew my mind also. But that's what I think. A lot of this is a lot of just kind of misremembering things. I don't know if you've ever seen. I don't even know what to call this, but I saw it was like a paragraph where all the words, the first and the last letter were in the right place, but the letters in the middle were mixed up. But you can still pretty much read, at the same speed. So it's like your mind kind of fills in the blanks. And I think it does that with your memories as well, with like things you hear and see. So I think that kind of can explain a lot of it in my mind. I mean, I'm sure that there's some stuff you can't explain, but.
Well, I'm not buying it for the Lord of the Rings one.
I gotta go rewatch Lord of the Rings. I haven't seen it in a hot minute. I'm trying to think of maybe, like, in the book, does it say "Run, you fools" at some point?
I don't know, bro. Like, it's just I could hear Gandalf saying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like,
and his hair going. The hair comes from his mouth when he says it too.
Yeah, you can see it too. Yeah.
You fools. He does say fly. Fuck, I gotta rewatch this shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
that one's. I didn't see that. That's got me right now.
One that also screwed me up, the Fruit of the Loom logo.
Okay, what about that one?
Do you remember it having a cornucopia? Like the little basket thing that all the fruit's in behind it.
That's a good question.
If you look it
I
up,
do.
I do. I could have swore it did. When I saw this, I was like, wait, there ain't no freaking little cone-shaped basket thing behind the fruit that the fruit's coming out of. It's just fruit sitting there with the words under it.
Maybe that's just our brains thinking.
I can understand if I was like, no, there was a banana in there with the other fruit, but a whole friggin' basket.
Well, my thing with that is, like, think about how many pictures you see around Thanksgiving time where there's just like a bunch of pumpkins and fruit with like the cornucopia behind it. So maybe your mind kind of fills that blanket. Because I don't know about you, but like I don't like stare at the tags on my clothes like that often. Like maybe I'll see it while I'm putting it on, but like I don't pay that close attention to it. So I don't know. Maybe like the mind kind of fills it in. I actually got one for you, JMac. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. So, the Cinderella's Castle in Magic Kingdom, because you're our resident Disney lunatic. Where is that in the Magic Kingdom? Like the castle itself?
It's at the end of Main Street.
Okay, but it's not the main entrance, right?
No, it's not the main entrance.
Because a lot of people think that it's the main entrance, and that was another one of the, Mandela effects. Where it's like, wait, did they move move Cinderella's castle? I think that's just another thing where, like, when you walk into Magic Kingdom, it's like the first thing you see because it's fucking huge.
Yeah, like once you go, well, I mean, I know like the first opening of Disney World, the video of it was taken from already inside the park. So it was like they opened it and everybody went running through the castle. I've never been to Disneyland. Disney World, I can tell you all about, but the Disneyland one, like I remember a video of the opening of Disneyland and then everybody running right through the castle once Walt was done giving his little speech. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe people who've never been there are just associating it with that, or lunatics who've only been there once. Like the thing you're gonna remember is the castle. Right.
Exactly. And this was specifically about the one in Orlando. But yeah.
Since we're talking about this, there's this theory. I don't know if you came across the one with Snow White.
Yeah.
No, it's that one.
So, with the mirror on the wall.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did see this one. Yeah.
It's mirror on the wall. That's how I always knew it, not magic mirror on the wall. But again, when was the last time I watched freaking Snow White?
Yeah.
It's true, but dude, the dude who wrote Wicked, the dude who wrote Wicked, he wrote like a couple other books, like taking different views on traditional like fairy tale shit.
Okay.
His retelling of Snow White, like his book based off of Snow White, is called Mirror Mirror.
Interesting.
Like,
so I'm wondering when that was published, because one of the theories tied with this one is, so there's a theory that says, when the Mandela Effect, remember I mentioned this shift, so that there's this evidence of alternate universe, and that when the dimensions shift, right, people who were born before the shift remember it a certain way, people who were born after the shift remember it the other way.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, say the shift was 2000, right? The people who were born before 2000 see it like that. People born after 2000 see it the other way, for example. Like, might see the magic mirror versus the mirror mirror.
Yeah, because we're like, we have our memories from the original dimension. Our consciousness is originally from that other dimension. Now, like, you mentioned Y2K and the Mayan calendar. The other one I heard of, another theory I heard about, was the CERN's the collider.
Yeah,
I can't think
the
of
Hadron Collider.
That when they turned it on in our original timeline, a lot of people were freaking out that something bad was going to happen, because they're basically trying to, not just like create another dimension. Like, they're doing some wild shit.
Kind of like recreate a Big Bang, more or less.
Yeah, people were afraid it was going to recreate the Big Bang, was going to open a black hole. Like, nobody knew what the fuck was going to happen once these guys start shooting the shit at each other. A lot of people think that the first time that they used it, that it actually destroyed the world in that timeline. So everybody who was alive then, your consciousness found its way into you in a parallel universe, alternate dimension, whatever you want to call it. So that's why it's been like kind of bizarro world since that happened. Everybody's got memories from different timelines all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So basically the world was going to end. They went back in time, basically like went in time and changed that. And because of that, the collider is just an experiment they're doing to try to find the God particle.
Yeah.
They're
shooting particles at each other at a tremendous amount, like a light speed, and hoping that they'll hit the right thing, and we'll find out all kinds of crap about the universe.
Yeah. What they do is they basically, it's like a multi-mile long circle, like track, and they have two particles that like just go, like you said, almost speed of light, like right at each other, run into each other, and then when they collide, it creates a little explosion. They kind of study it to see like what particles come out, and that's how they learn a lot about like quantum physics and stuff. But what he's saying is when they did that, it ripped, in the time-space fabric or whatever, and then it, kind of opened this portal to these other dimensions that it's just like now things are kind of going crazy. Which if you look at it since like 2000 or when did they start doing that? 2010. Like shit just gets progressively crazier and crazier. Maybe it's a recency bias. I don't know. Maybe it's the internet blowing things out of proportion. But I feel like our world's just kind of going nuts right now.
Yeah. A lot of wacky stuff happening since then.
Yeah.
Like, yo, what about chicken fillet?
Chick-fil-A, yeah.
What
They
about
have spelled
We
weird.
have it.
There's a lot, like I said, a lot of the spelling, like even Febreze only has, it isn't breeze like, cool breeze. It's spelled, it's just B-R-E-Z.
I thought it was
Febreze
two
is
E's.
spelled with one E, not two E's.
Yeah, breeze is two
that's
E's.
what I was
Febreze
trying-
is one E. Yeah.
Yeah. Forrest Gump's life is like a box of chocolates. He never says that. He says life was like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, my mama said life was like a box of chocolates. That's what he said. By the way, I hate that fucking movie, but we don't have to touch on that. I just want to throw that out there. I want that known.
Wow.
Disrespect.
For
The
real,
disrespect.
Listen, it's a good movie, but I'm still salty over the fact that they won the Academy Award over Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction. You're gonna tell me Forrest Gump is better than those movies? I'm not buying it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to go into a whole Forrest
No, I know.
Gump conversation. Apparently, there's they were gonna make a sequel movie because there is a sequel book
For Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
The fuck was he
They
gonna
never
do?
made the
Swim
movie.
across the Atlantic?
Probably,
It has to go with his kid and all this different stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's probably, what was that movie with Sean Penn? I Am Sam, where he's raising the daughter by himself. That's the sequel. Congratulations.
There you go.
Somebody else made it.
Oh,
Eat
shit.
a dick, Tom Hanks, while you're imprisoned in Greece. We know
Good
what's
job.
going on.
Cannibal. And next week, the Tom Cruise Tom Hanks discussion.
Tom Cruise could be a whole other discussion.
Tom Cruise's episode 10, the big Scientology episode.
We're gonna have Leia Remini on as a guest.
Oh man, awesome.
Yeah.
But
Man, I think here's my opinion when it comes to this Nelson Mandela shit. Nelson Mandela shit. The two things. The false memories, it's got to be the biggest part of it. And then just the what is it called? Confabulation, right? Right? Confabulation.
it's a word. I don't know if it's being used right, but I
Yeah.
know it's a word.
Like honest lying, you know what I mean? You create this like false memory without intending to like hurt others. Again, like in the beginning when we were talking about somebody tells a story about, like if we try to recount our drunken bar stories, JMac, like certain things are going to be remembered in certain ways depending on the story and depending who was involved and all that kind of shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely. Well, you also
And even
add
though-
alcohol into the mix or whatever other substances you might be messing around with.
Oh, yeah.
That brings a different element to things.
Absolutely. So like they're close to the original or true origin of the memory, whatever we're talking about, like chicken fillet, Looney Tunes, whatever it is, and that the large group of people they have that similar experience because again our brains are flawed. We already know we're flawed beings, that's for sure. We already know you ever seen Memento?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like how Lenny just, crosses things out and does things and changes things just so he could keep that shit going, so he doesn't have to leave and make, it makes sense to him. You know what I mean? Like, we like things to make sense. We like comfort. We like organization. We don't like the crazy, we like to talk about this kind of stuff, conspiracy. We don't actually like these changes, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're freaking us out. And we're talking about Luke, I'm your father, and run, you fools. And it's it's unsettling to think that we misremembered, stuff like that we thought was like, fact.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, some people think that the reptilians are the ones doing this to make us doubt reality. Like, if you want to get real crazy, David Icke on it. But,
Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
No, he was, his father was the Zodiac Killer, right? Or he killed Kennedy. What was Ted Cruz's father? You ever hear that one?
I thought they said Ted Cruz was the Zodiac Killer.
Okay, maybe he was a Zodiac Killer and then his father killed Kennedy. I don't know. There was all kinds of, when he was running for president.
I know he was heavily involved in was it Ted Cruz? Who was it? Maybe it was Marco Rubio. It was Marco Rubio, I think, was heavily involved in like the cocaine cowboys era of Miami.
Oh, was he?
Back in the day. His family were all like big time drug dealers.
I could see that.
He was a kid.
Yeah.
But hey, it was Miami in the 80s. What are you gonna do?
Everyone was in.
Yeah. Just I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about. I tried to find the actual transcript online. I couldn't figure it out. They said it was some called Paste Bin. I don't know. Anyway, apparently this stuff started going around the internet. This guy showed up claiming to be. This was actually a conversation between him and like a CIA agent, say, whatever, some kind of highly classified, official. And in this conversation, this dude says that he is a time traveler, that the Mandela Effect started when they started experimenting with time travel because it caused a tear in dimensional membrane. The membrane that separates our dimensions was weakened by these time travel experiments. Now, we think of time as a linear thing, but it's not. These parallel universes, everything we lived is happening through various times in these other universes, apparently, these other dimensions. So the idea that you could time travel and change something, it won't change anything in our timeline. If we had a time machine, we jumped in there and tried to go back in time and kill Hitler, it wouldn't change anything in the timeline we came from. It would change in the timeline that we traveled back in time to.
Interesting.
So it's like a different part of the multiverse.
Exactly. So now say, because one of the things is, why don't they just go back in time and stop them from doing these experiments so this shit doesn't happen? Well, they could, but it would only change that in that one timeline they go back to.
Right. Whatever dimension, whatever parallel universe, whatever. Let's just call them like sheets of paper. Whatever, that sheet of paper is that existence. That sheet of paper is that. It's just going to end up in that one and not the one we were originally on.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, because of this, these things started popping up. This is what this, thing said. All these slight discrepancies because we're kind of, things are phasing in and out from these other dimensions. It's going to continue to get worse. And then apparently in the year 2025, it's going to hit like the worst of it. There's going to be 3 days stretch where people, objects are just going to be phasing in and out of reality in our timelines. So I might be dead in a different dimension. So all of a sudden you could be looking at me, I disappear.
So what was happening at the end of the movie, you're saying, is going to happen in 2025?
Essentially, yeah. That's what this thing was saying, is that the chances of that happening are very possible. They said the real problem is in other timelines, like large structures, big skyscrapers, things like that, they might have been built slightly different, tilted in a different direction, facing a different way. As those changes happen across different timelines, they'll cause building collapses, all kinds of anarchy and craziness, volcanic issues, all kinds of shit. So something to look forward to.
We just have a major volcanic, eruption and took out a whole freaking island.
Yeah, was it the Canary Islands over there or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting here, you're watching the last couple of years, everything's kind of getting worse and worse. Like, it's got to get better soon, right? Well, no, not until 2025, apparently. But
maybe some people from an alternate universe made it into this universe, and that's why we live in such a crazy-ass shit show of a country.
Well, that's the thing, man. That was the thing about with the Hadron Collider. They think since then shit has been wacky. Look, I don't care what your political affiliation is, if you love the guy or hate the guy. There isn't a person in this country in 2010 who legitimately thought Donald Trump would be president one day.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
So, to think that shit ain't different, you're just lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's her name? Broom, the chick that
Claire?
Julie Broom?
No.
Fiona Life Broom.
Yeah, what
Fiona something?
Fiona Broom. Yeah.
She compares this that we have memory errors similar to software glitches, it's part of our existence, and this could be, explained similarly to the Matrix. Parallel that to the movie simulation, right? I mean, hey, you never know. But like JMac says, if time travelers, if they are changing history, all these little things are a product of that. I mean, that kind of makes sense too,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I 100% believe it, but it makes sense, because tell me that's not the most human thing to do, where you realize your actions are negatively affecting someone else, but you say, fuck it, it's not affecting me, so I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep time traveling.
Yeah.
It may mess up this other dimension. Like, think about, us trying to go get oil in the Middle East, or knocking down the Amazon rainforest, or, how these oil companies are trying to push off global warming talk so they can make a couple extra bucks. Like, it's just in human nature to try and benefit yourself before you help other people. So I buy it. I mean,
what about this? What about, psychedelic trips, right? Like, what if you fucking, eat some LSD or mushrooms, or smoke some DMT or some toad's venom, or whatever the fuck kind of psychedelic you're doing, right? And your consciousness enters another dimension where Looney Tunes is Looney Tunes and Curious George doesn't have a tail, or does have a tail, and then when you come back from your trip, those images and memories are implanted in you, and because so many people do these drugs, they get that experience.
It's possible.
I mean, I've never done it, but the stories and things I've heard about ayahuasca are probably the one psychedelic that legit makes me think that it isn't just some hallucination your brain comes up with. I'm not saying drugs can make you hallucinate, but if all three of us take the same drug, we're not all gonna have the same hallucination. But there's been reports of people doing ayahuasca in groups and them all having the same exact experience.
Ayahuasca, mushrooms, there's been many of those scenarios, and it's pretty crazy,
A lot of people believe it is a chemical gateway to a different dimension.
I mean, think about it. Like, we're living in the war on drugs time of, psychedelics and everything. You know what I mean? Like, dude, 150 years ago, there was no fucking regulations. Like, Native Americans just fucking did that shit with their 12-year-olds. Like, now you've become man, Sancho. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, fucking came out of the woods fucking a man after, drinking a bowl of something that made him see, giant fucking warthogs and shit. I don't know.
Or passing the peace pipe around,
Passing the peace pipe. You know what I mean? Like, these things have been around for a long time,
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
No, I was going to say, there's actually a theory that Moses, when he found the 10 Commandments, was actually tripping. Yeah. Apparently, mushrooms grow by Mount Sinai, where he found.
It's the kind of bush that the burning bush.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it was. Well, I think it's called the cicada tree.
Oh, it was
I might be
DMT, right?
pronouncing
They
it
thought it
wrong.
was
And the
DMT.
tree is rich in DMT, so if you're standing around the thing while it's burning, you're inhaling the smoke. You know, who's to say you didn't? A lot of
Everybody's lit
religious-
like, yo, Moses parted the sea, man.
I mean, hey, I believe. All right,
Wait, Jesus, weren't you dead?
wasn't it Jesus and the Mushroom? I believe is the name of the book by this guy John Carlo Allegro. Wrote this book, and
He was the guy on Rogan.
I know Rogan's mentioned the book. I don't know if the actual author was on there or not.
The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, that one?
Yeah, something like
John
that.
Allegro?
Yeah, so all basically showing all these, practices have origins into using some sort of psychedelic drugs. I mean, you're at church and they're walking through burning the incense and stuff.
Frankincense.
What if that was,
Myrrh.
myrrh, fucking every other thing from the Bible we can make. But like, what if that was DMT they were burning instead of that? Like, wouldn't that give everybody in the church a religious experience or at a mass back in the day?
The priest is
A lot
like,
of
you want
people-
to see God? I'll show you God. Walks around DMT burning.
The halos around, like saints and shit that are portrayed around saints.
Mhm.
A lot of people think those are mushroom caps. That those started off as like the idea of a mushroom cap.
Well, there's even.
Bunch
Have you heard
mushroom
of?
caps. God.
Have you ever heard of the stoned ape theory?
Yeah.
That's like, more or less that, like, while we were still primates, like, we didn't actually get like consciousness, or our brains didn't expand until they started eating these things or experiencing these.
Yeah, they think the ancient apes started eating mushrooms and it helped their brains grow and develop clearer ways of thinking and shit.
Between that and eating meat, like the two, we started eating meat, like that did something to us also,
Yeah.
I'd say the go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, like the Salem witch trials, like there's a possibility that all stemmed because of rye bread that turned into fucking acid because the crop that season, like the mold that got on it, like made lysergic fucking whatever LSD is. And it's what is it? They said what's ergot.
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 Ergot is a mold that has psychedelic properties in it. So they had a frost or something that year, and they think it got on the wheat, and then basically, these women would cook for their husbands, and the husband would have some kind of weird trip and think he was under a spell. So it's like, let's set all these chicks on fire.
Right. And it's like, oh, a woman is like speaking back? What? Single woman? No, single woman. She must be a witch. And you're like, yeah, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, at that point, they could just pin it on anybody.
Yeah, it just goes to show like the power of brains, the power of our imagination, the power of substances, and like put that next to what are we in a fucking computer, simulation? Are we in a God simulation? Like, what? Man,
some of the
shit is just so
simulation
crazy.
stuff is weird to me because, like, I could understand if it's a simulation and you decide to be, I don't know, like Kanye West, like that's your avatar. But like, if you had a choice, like, are you really gonna be like, me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I care if some dude being like, "Yep, I'm gonna make that guy." It's like, really?
See, that's the thing. We're not choosing and creating. We're automatic. Like, think about that game, like The Sims.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Right? We're just regular fucking. What are those like mass multiplayer games? There's like people and then like
The
a computerized
NPC.
Yeah, NPC.
Non-person character.
Yeah, NPC. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like
think about like
we're just
GTA.
NPCs.
Like GTA, you're going through the city. Like, you don't choose to be the one guy walking down the street who gets run over. Like, that's just there. Like, we're probably just NPCs in this theory. Like we're
Right.
because we're not far off from being able to like recreate a whole world with all these people with all these personalities, and like we're not that far off from that. And like they said in the movie, like people might want to create like different reasons why they might want to create the simulation, whether it's to predict future political events, like how people react to things in the stock market. Like there's a million different reasons why, or just for fun, for a game. That's another reason.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's beautiful to be able to have like thought experiments about all this kind of shit, and then in one aspect it's like question everything, and in the other aspect it's like none of that shit is real. We're just gonna die, and our energy is dead, and our consciousness will die, and we'll decompose in the ground, and we'll become dinosaurs to some other entity fucking 65 million years from now.
Well, or if it is a simulation, we die, we respawn as something else.
Oh shit, I'm gonna respawn as a bunny.
And who knows, like, I mean, you start talking about like timelines and stuff, and that's another thing that people talk about with psychedelics, like time moves differently when you're under that influence. Our whole lifetime could be one round of Call of Duty, you know what I mean?
Like one tour of COD.
Yeah, so that
we know. I was gonna say, it's just crazy, like the power of this shit. Because like JMac and I know somebody in real life that, this person like suffered some serious depression her whole life, and like apparently smoked the toad venom, and like she's cured of her depression and all that kind of shit, And it's like, whoa, it's pretty wild, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, as a society, we like to think we have everything figured out. Like we don't. Like we don't know shit about shit. I mean, like
somebody probably knows, and that's probably a big chunk of what the war on drugs is.
They don't want us opening our minds.
They don't want that. They don't want, they want you just to be smart. What was that George Carlin's thing? They just want you smart enough to push the buttons and keep the economy going or whatever.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm paraphrasing, but they don't want people to all of a sudden become enlightened. And
why would you want
why should we let that? Why should depression go away? We got a pill for that. It costs this much a month.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And you got to keep coming back for more. It's not a one-time fix. You got to keep coming back.
Yeah, man. And that dude. I mean, fucking. And that's a whole other thing. Mental health, right? Like mental health ties into all this too, because it's like, can this stuff be prevented via other alternatives, like different forms of psychedelic therapy, right? Why would they? They're coming out with studies saying fucking mushrooms are gonna help cure dementia and MS and what's the other one?
Alzheimer's.
Anyway, Alzheimer's. Yeah, Alzheimer's. So it's like, if these things can have the power to do that, what the hell else, man? Dude, I freaking take some mushrooms, and I'm not talking about like tripping balls. I'm talking about like a fucking half a gram just to like before bed, and I don't feel anything. But like I'll wake up in the morning and stand on my porch, and I'm looking at the sky, and I'm just looking at it, and I'm just like, wow, this is beautiful, man. Life is a crazy ass thing, and I feel good, and I appreciate things better, And it's not about getting high, right? It's doing something for me. Whether it's actually doing it, it's a placebo effect. It's fucking doing something, man. Yeah. And it's probably a lot better than taking a freaking pharmaceutical that's doing damage to me,
Yeah, I mean, think about, the drugs that are considered like acceptable by society. Alcohol, right, dulls the senses.
Kill you.
And it'll kill you. And coffee makes you go faster, makes you work better, right? Those are the two drugs that are like fully accepted by society, right? So weed is getting there, mushrooms a little bit, like the other drugs they don't really condone.
Well, just think about how much more we would know about it if for the last was it been 50 years of war on drugs,
right?
Yeah,
how much if they were able to use them in therapies freely and not just be Schedule 1 all out the gate. I mean, there's even talk of mushrooms being able to repair people's eyesight and hearing. through microdosing.
Yeah.
Because they found that if you just take small, like if you take the whole, like a big dose, it overloads your neurons, and that's what creates the whole psychedelic experience. But if you take small amounts, it actually is showing that it's starting to improve neurons, so people's eyesight is getting better, people's hearing is getting better. There's a lot to it, but we don't know enough about it, or as much as we should know about it, I should say, because of the ridiculousness. And I mean, it was made illegal basically just to shit on the hippie movement. You know, like, oh, they're drug addicts, they're doing illegal stuff. You know,
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, they're just eating mushrooms and laying in a field. Like, they're not bothering anyone. Leave them the fuck alone.
Like, meanwhile, we have our dead sober freaking leaders and elites that are fucking sucking the life out of us, and they're fucking not on anything, man.
Yeah.
should be. They should make them all sit down and do mushrooms together.
They're on that adrenochrome. That's what they're on.
Yeah, exactly. it's so fucked, bro. Such bullshit. But I guarantee once they could profit off of this shit, oh yeah, they'll be pumping out mushrooms left and right.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
be right next to your fucking Baby Bellas and shiitakes at the grocery store.
Well, I think we were talking about that. We might have talked about this in the last episode about, like, you know, legalization of weed. Like they're kind of holding things up until these bigger companies can get involved. You know, they don't want the local mom and pop shops making the money off it. They're holding it up so that the Philip Morris can get involved, the Altria, you know, these big tobacco companies and shit like that. Yeah, money makes the world go round. You know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if there was a way for people to profit off of time travel, that shit will be happening. His way, oh, you want to see what it was like in the 60s? And then all of a sudden, you know, you're destroying some other timeline. As many timelines
absolutely.
as they can.
Well, that's what I
You know, by
mentioned.
showing up in the 60s and leaving a fucking, you know, I don't know, goddamn Monster Energy drink laying around, and that ends up fucking up somebody who's never had.
Yo,
that
what
much
about
caffeine.
what about those pictures where you see like a person? It looks like they have a cell phone from like the 1920s.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Did you ever hear the Baghdad Battery?
Yeah.
They found a battery in Baghdad that was like 10,000 years old. Like, it had a cathode, an anode, and like it wasn't like an Energizer battery. It was like in a jar,
No,
like
they're like clay pots,
Yeah.
and you fill it with some kind of like juice or even wine, and then you put a metal rod in it, and the acid in the juice and wine create, like, you remember you used to make like a lemon battery in science class?
potato batteries and stuff.
No,
I just
Potato
remember playing with the
alarm
Bunsen
clocks.
burners.
Joey was in the corner doing poetry while they were doing that experiment, I guess. Fucking, like you would make a lemon, like a battery from a lemon. You get the little like alligator clips and stick like the metal thing in the lemon, and you could see you could get a charge off of the fruit. Well, they used to do that shit back in the day. But what they were using the electricity for, the common scientific belief was that they were trying to like magnetically plate like jewelry or something, but it's like, what the fuck would they need to do that for?
Yeah.
They had lights and shit. You know, but
Yeah, it's. I mentioned in the chat that movie Idiocracy, which anyone out there has seen it knows it's a pretty funny movie. But basically, Luke Wilson, was it Luke Wilson? Yeah, Luke Wilson ends up in the future, and you know he's trying to figure out how to get back, and he finds out that Costco has time machines. So you're talking about like until someone can like learn how to profit off of time machines, like you know he ends up going to Costco to get back in time. But yeah, no, it's nuts.
And this movie's 15 years old already, Idiocracy. This shit came out in 2006.
It's hilarious because the president in that movie when he goes into the future is Terry Crews, who's like a former pro wrestler who decides to become president. Which, like, you look at it now with, like, you know, because like Trump was a reality star and all this stuff. It's like, I don't know. There's all other kinds of things you could look into it, but we were talking about the Mandela Effect, right? I don't remember.
yeah, at one point
Well, I
we
mean-
were there.
It's all tied together.
Yeah.
This is all has to do with,
Yeah.
you know,
Alternating
mental health.
reality.
It has to do with
Yeah.
all psychedelics. It all has to do with, right? What is our reality? The Mandela Effect. You know, is it because there's like this other theory, right? And like I didn't get to this one yet, but has to do with the false memories, the Dice Rodier and McDermott paradigm that demonstrates, like, for example, like if you see words like bed and pillow, like your false recognition is gonna make up a word like sleep. You know what I mean? Even though sleep's not there, and your mind might have thought sleep was there. If they say, okay, what were the words on that list? Bed, pillow, sleep. No, sleep wasn't there, but you thought it was there because of all those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I was saying before, your mind fills in the blanks.
Right, basically.
Yeah. No, I saw that one. The example I saw was like, if you give someone like a list of animals like monkeys, tigers, elephants, and then you ask the person later, was lions on the list? They'd be like, yeah, lions was there, because they just kind of associate it all together.
Yeah, like Curious George, bro, it's a fucking monkey. Monkeys have tails, so yeah, I thought there was a tail there. I'm sorry. Like, that's easy to, you know what I mean?
See, that one I know isn't true because my younger brother had a Curious George doll for way too long, like way longer than he should have growing up. So, like, I always knew that, they never had a tail. But I could see, monkeys have tails. That's what they have. So you would think if you're making a monkey in a book, you would give him a tail. But
and, like, let's be real, bro. Like, we read these books when we were how old? And, like, we didn't fucking read them religiously. I mean, some people might have, but most people didn't.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the
paying
thing.
attention to the name. You're fucking focused on the little teddy bear cartoons.
Because when I,
too much junk.
When I first heard about this, I ran it by, like, my wife. I'd be like, how is it like this? Like, you remember it like this and like that? And she always knows it the right way, but she's also a pre-K teacher. Or she's a teacher of little kids. She reads these books in school to them all the time. So she sees it way more often than us, who probably haven't seen them since we were 4. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, so automatically think Bernstein because that's the more common surname than Bearstain,
I will say, though, one of the ones that did kind of fuck me up was the Flintstones and not the Flintstones. I don't remember there being a T. Yeah,
I don't either, but I wasn't huge into the Flintstones growing up, so like
Oh, I almost forgot.
What?
Go ahead, Joe. I don't want.
I was just gonna say, I remember seeing it, but I never said it because I remember there being like a line letter, like a D, a T, like a stick letter. You know what I mean? Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. You just say Flintstones. You don't say Flintstones.
Everybody says Flintstones. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
But like visualizing it in my head, like Flintstones vitamins, like the T is there. It's a line letter that's there. Because it's not like F, capital F, and then it's all small letter L, small I, small N, right? Small, like, there's a big letter in between that S,
One of the ones that jacked me up, that screwed me up, too, it's because, like, anytime I was homesick from school, like, watching reruns of Perfect Strangers and shit and Mork and Mindy in the morning, this commercial would come on, like, 9,000 times. But Ed McMahon was never a spokesperson for Publishing Clearinghouse.
Shut the fuck up right now.
Bro, I don't even know if Ant's... Are you old enough to...
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't
even know who Ed McMahon is.
Yo, it was Ed McMahon and another guy that would show up at your door with the fucking giant checks.
With the giant checks.
Yeah.
It was a sweepstakes, and Ed McMahon was like the spokesperson for it.
Yeah.
And apparently he never was. And the commercial would be on all the time. And it was like, they'd send you some shit and you'd fill it out, and then if you won, they'd show up at your house with a giant check and balloons. And
I've seen that. I didn't know that's what it was called. But
I got fucking goosebumps right now,
bro. Look at
that's the way to go out at the end of the episode right now, because I got all listeners definitely got to be knowing exactly what we're talking about. Yo, I'm tingling, right? I know I just spoke a bowl, but I mean I'm fucking tingling. Dude, shut the fuck up.
I swear, bro, it fucked me up. I was like, there's no way that Ed McMahon was not in the Publishers Clearinghouse.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
So what was it? It's something. It was on commercials, right?
Somebody else. I think one of the things I saw they were trying to say is that, like, maybe people saw the commercial a lot when watching Star Search, so they just, and he hosted Star Search, so they just.
I never even watched Star Search.
I never even watched it. So, yeah.
Dude, I remember those commercials like during Jerry Springer and shit.
Yeah. Jerry Springer, like I said, like during the daytime, if you were home when you were a kid.
Yeah. Like, watching 90210 during the summer, or like the Batman Adam West during the summer, like in the morning, like before going out to like play or some shit, Yeah, hell yeah. Dude, you gotta be kidding me.
Now, did you guys see the Sinbad one with Shazam?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you guys remember that
movie? They made like a fake video about it, too. Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it was Shaquille O'Neal played a genie in something, right?
Kazam.
Kazam.
In Kazam, yeah. Yeah. I feel like I don't remember, like I remember Shaq being a genie, and I remember the name Shazam, but it could have just been mixing them up. But I don't know, like, where people fully, like, got their wires crossed on that one.
So, doing a little research on that once, I remember reading somewhere that, like, I think Sinbad was like, like when you hear how like Joe Bob does the fucking in between all movies, like Sinbad was hosting one of those things once and was like dressed up as a genie in between, and that's where people might have gotten it from.
People just took off with it.
Yeah,
you never know.
With it. Yeah. But like, remember, he was in all those like kid movies at that time too. When Kazam with Shaq came out, he was in all those movies. Remember freaking Blank Check?
And then what was it, First Kid or something?
Yeah, First Kid. Yeah. Dude, that fucking movie when he loved McDonald's. Remember, House Guest was fucking hysterical with Phil Hartman.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in forever, bro. I fucking forgot about it.
I think I'm a little young for this conversation.
Yeah.
This is like mid-90s fucking comedy. Yeah, fucking... And that was the same time that Kazam came out as well. So Sinbad was very relevant, up until the late 90s.
Do you guys got any Mandela effects that you personally experienced that, like, we haven't, that aren't more well-known ones, or... because I had something weird happen just like a couple of years ago. And, all right, so, I forgot the dude's name. Gavin DeGraw, that's a singer, right?
Maybe. Sounds familiar.
He's a country singer?
I know Gavin Rossdale from Bush, but...
All right, so this dude...
Sounds country.
Yeah. Let me look it up quick first.
Now there's a Tug McGraw. I think he was a baseball player, though.
All right, yeah, Gavin DeGraw. He had a song called Not Over You. And I have the clearest memory. Remember when, like, VH1 used to do, like, those weekend review shows when they had, like, comedians come on and talk about the shit that went on during the week?
Nah, but I remember, like, Pop-Up Video, they would do that and stuff.
Yeah, it was like the same kind of deal as Pop-Up Video, but it was like, this is what's going on this week. So I remember watching one of those shows and the comedian guy talking about how this dude, Gavin DeGraw's video for Not Over You, it was when Game of Thrones first came out. And he's like, the girl played Khaleesi's in the video. And I remember going, it was the first time that I saw her without the white Khaleesi hair, Amelia Clark.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is, but okay.
Hot. All right. You're like the only person alive who's never watched Game of Thrones. So, and even my wife remembers me being like, yo, the girl from Game of Thrones is in this video, and us watching the music video.
I remember you telling me that too. Like,
fast forward like a year or two, like 2 years ago maybe, I'm at work, kid, he's watching all these music videos. We're talking about Game of Thrones. He has YouTube up on the computer. And I'm like, and he's saying how, much he likes the girl Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. She's hot, whatever. So I'm like, yo, you have to see that video she was in. So he pulls it up. We're watching it. And like a minute or so into it, I'm like, that doesn't look like her. And he's like, are you sure that's her? And I'm like, dude, like that was her. You look now, it's just some other chick. I don't know who it is, but I have the clearest memory of watching this show where the dude's going over stuff from the week and how the girl from Game of Thrones is in this music video. If you Google it, you'll see other people also think that she was in that video. It's not like as commonly known or even under like Mandela Effect stuff, But I think there's a site that even credits her as being in it. But I remember actually like seeing her. You know what I'm saying? And now when I watch it, like the girl looks similar to her. She's another like, you know, small framed girl. But it was, that one tripped me out. Because it was like the only thing that I could, you know, that wasn't like one of these commonly known ones that people talk about, like the Monopoly guy or anything that happened to me.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that to me, you know, however many years ago it was. And I remember like watching the video and be like, oh yeah, look, it is her. And I'll have to check that out now. You said she looks like her though, at least? Like, is it kind of close?
Still, I mean, it isn't like looking at her, if someone confused her for the girl from Game of Thrones, it's like, yeah, I guess, you know, but I mean, at this point, like, if it wasn't because I have the clearest memory of watching that show, and that I could even see the dude's name. I don't remember him. He had glasses. He was wearing a black shirt, and he's like, yeah, the girl, you know, from Game of Thrones is in the new Grabbing the Girl video. Because you could kind of, like, see the bottom of her butt cheeks. Like, at one point, she lifts her arms up. You know, like, that kind of shit. The dude was basically saying how hot she was. So, you know, that shit, it screwed me up when I'm sitting there after I just tell this kid that I'm working with about how she's in this video, and it comes up, and literally as I started thinking, he's like, I don't think that's her. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think it is either. And it was that one kind of weirded me out.
One that weirded me out, and I think I figured it out the other day, is the Jif peanut butter. And how it was never called Jiffy peanut butter, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember Jiffy. You know? And I think I realized what it is. So the other day I'm in the grocery store, and, you know, I was like, let's make a big old breakfast. It was Sunday. Me and the kids went to the store. I got bacon, eggs, pancake mix, you know what I mean? And I'm in the aisle. What do I see? Corn muffins. I said, oh, man, I love corn muffins. I haven't made corn muffins since, like, my grandmother was alive, you know? Yo, what's the name of the corn muffin? Remember, you know, you've seen these corn muffin boxes, the little blue and white box. You've seen it in the baker's aisle. I guarantee you. Jiffy fucking corn muffins. Yo, I'm telling you. Google Jiffy corn muffins right now, and you're going to see, oh, I've seen that before.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me you haven't,
yeah,
seen that. Bro, it's on the same aisle as the peanut butter.
Yeah, so see, that's a lot of this shit. It's like, you know, you see that, and then you go to the peanut butter, and it's like it's still in your mind. Jiffy, Jif. Like, you know, you can see how your mind might, as a fucking fly that bothered me all episode. You can see how your mind can, like, maybe meld those together.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's got to be, man. Like, there was no Jiffy peanut butter.
Although I don't know, that JMac was saying a couple things that kind of had me swaying the other way. When he was like talking about the time traveler and shit, I was like, maybe this is a thing. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, speaking of, like, you know, different dimensions and shit like that, as I've been going through this, you know, the last like week or so, I had a thought. What if when we go to sleep and we dream, it isn't just like something our brain comes up with? What if we're seeing our life in a different dimension?
It's a pretty fucked up dimension.
Yeah. Because wacky shit happens in my dream. But, I mean, if you listen to, like, string theories, there's a dimension or a parallel universe for every decision you've ever made and everybody else has ever made. Mm-hmm. So maybe there is a dimension where I have, like, you know, ghosts coming into my bedroom and grabbing me, pulling me off the bed and weird shit like that. You know what I mean?
There's just one dimension where everybody makes the most hectic decisions possible.
Yeah.
And there's a wild shit happening. Yeah, it's possible. I mean,
what if? Like, you ever seen the end of Men in Black? The original one?
Yeah.
And it, like, zooms out. Yeah, with the marbles.
Yeah.
You know, like, what if it's like that?
Probably is.
Like, the parallel universes are just other marbles being played with by some godlike creatures.
We're all just a bunch of marbles in a sack.
It's like the old, what was that, the old Clash of the Titans, where they're playing the people on the board and stuff, the gods and everything.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely we're like in a computer chip than like a marble, but I like where your head's at.
Wow. Yo, can you imagine wearing a fucking computer chip? Imagine we're on a floppy disk.
Man, I wouldn't even want to be on a floppy disk. Give me on an SD card or something, or a flash drive. You know,
it's wild, bro. I don't know. It makes you think, though. It really, it makes for a fun conversation, fun thought process. You know, the movie not being, you know, like if I was to rate it, I'd probably just throw it right down the middle with a 5 out of 10 or 2.5 out of 5. You know, it's not a horrible movie. I'd say, hey, give it a watch for the fact that it's about the Mandela Effect and has cool little Easter eggs throughout the movie, paying homage to all the different ones. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I liked how we kind of talked about this before, but how they took a different route with the theory, with the whole simulation theory. You know, because I had never heard that. I've heard the parallel universes and the Hadron Collider and all those other ones, but the simulation theory I thought was a nice spin on it.
Yeah. Oh, what'd you guys, just one more before we wrap it up. The Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow having a gun. Did either one of you guys ever remember that? Did you ever hear about that?
No, I haven't heard about that one.
Did you? Yeah. If you watch The Wizard of Oz, when they go back through like the forest and the what was it? The lion has the net. You know, the Timon has his axe. The Scarecrow has a fucking revolver.
No way.
And The Wizard of Oz is like one of my wife's favorite movies of all time. So we watched it pretty often, and like, you know, it was probably, we still lived in New York, so somewhere like 6 years ago, say, I'm watching it and I'm like, does he have a fucking gun? And I'm like, I don't remember him ever having a gun, you know? I remember them being afraid and walking through there, but I don't remember him having a gun. But yeah, Scarecrow's gripped up, man.
Wow, not playing.
Damn, man, I remember that one.
Yeah, there's a couple in Wizard of Oz I can't think of right now. I mean, you could go down a rabbit hole on YouTube and whatever and find tons of stuff. Like I said, the newer one.
Little episode on the Wizard of Oz. We'll do the Pink Floyd thing. We'll talk about the midget murder. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Oh, am I not allowed to say that anymore?
I don't know. We're an hour and a half in.
If you said Munchkin, it'd be all right. But midget,
right? He was technically a Munchkin.
The disrespect.
Sorry, I'm fucking. I don't know. What do I know, bro? I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me.
Just throw it at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah. So I guess start wrapping it up. Are we rating it? You rated it, Joey. I guess we'll throw some ratings on there. Yeah, I give it like a 6 out of 10. Like it's a solid, quick watch. Like if you're into the Mandela Effect, that interests you. Like, you know, recommend it. It's free on Prime, so check it out. You know.
Yeah. It has potential. It really had potential to be a sick movie, but you know, again, it just is. It's too heavy to just sum up in a short amount of time like that. You know.
Yeah.
On both sides of it, the theory itself and the humanity aspect of the story. Yeah. You know. Yeah.
You have a score, JMac?
Yeah, I'd say probably like down the middle, like you got, like Joey did. You know, I mean. Like I said, it's if you've known nothing about the Mandela Effect and you put it on, it might you know, pull you in a little more.
You might you might go into bed like, holy shit, who am I? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't even know what's real anymore. You know, but
Daffy Duck was a Nazi.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, I don't know, maybe also the fact that it's a quick watch and that it streams for free probably helps a lot with how much I liked it. But you know, it's got some cool stuff in it. I think if you care about the topic of it, it's worth, you know, spending an hour and 10 minutes on, 15 minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure. It's the only movie about this too. I don't think it's any other.
There's a movie about Mandela, but not the effect.
Yeah. Oh, funny note. What's his name? Played Nelson Mandela in a movie. The professor.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Because there was that one a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
But you're saying he was in another
Clark
one.
Peters.
Yeah.
Clark Peters played him in, I don't remember the name of it, but another one.
I could see him being
Is that
he'd
wild?
be a good Mandel. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. Pretty wild.
So we'll wrap it up there, I guess. Hour and a half. Pretty solid output for coming into this. We weren't sure how much we would get out of the movie, but we got a decent amount there. Yeah, so just I guess like I said, check out our link tree. That's got everything you need in there. YouTube, socials, our blog. Again, check out the blog. We'll be posting. We're going to try and post a couple things a week in between the episodes, give you some more content. From anything from, I know Joey's wrote a couple of blogs about about wrestling, and JMac's writing about flying humanoids in Coney Island and all kinds of stuff. So it's cool. It's good stuff. Check it out. It's in the link tree. I'll put that link in the YouTube.
The
and
Rockweiler himself, JMac, coming at you.
There you go. Exactly. All right. Any last thoughts before I cap it off?
No, man.
Next week, great episode. Love hanging with you guys. JMac.
Yeah, it's always a blast. Should be fun. Keep your eyes on that site page with all the blog stuff, because we're going to try to put more crap up there, and trying to post it where I can and let people see it. If you got a comment on any of it or whatever, just hit us up, man. Interact.
Be on the lookout for some more content coming your way. Possible new audio videos, reviews, and bombatomicallypodcast.com is live, man. So check that shit out. You don't got to worry about the in-betweeners and WordPress and all that kind of shit. Just bombatomicallypodcast.com.
Yep. Simple enough. All right, guys. This was fun. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Yeah. Peace.
Later.